Hi, Matt with eTrailer. Today we're talking about the Saris SuperClamp Bike Rack on the back of our 2017 Buick Enclave. Now this will be a pretty solid choice if you're looking for a rack that's going to be pretty versatile and it's going to allow you to open up your hatch when you don't have a bike back here. And it's also just really easy to use. But before we get into any of that, I want to talk about how our bike is sitting on here. So right now we have a really good distance between our bike and our vehicle itself. So let's say you're on a really bumpy road, this is moving around, it's not going to move around enough to make contact with the vehicle. Now we do have a tilt feature on this so you can access your hatch, but in our case today we won't get full hatch access. So I'm going to pull on this lever. Sometimes you got to pull on it pretty hard. It'll tilt back for you. But what I mean by not getting full hatch access is going to be because we don't have much of a tilt here, because it does have a heavier weight capacity of 60 pounds per bike. When I lift this up, I'm just barely going to make it past my pedals. And then when I get here at the very top, this handlebar is going to get in my way. Now if you had a road bike, that might not happen. But this still gives us enough room where if we needed to throw some groceries back here or grab my gear to get ready to go riding, I could still do that. And once you're done, just put this back down and we can put this back into the seated position. All we have to do for that is push up on it until it clicks into place. Now if I want to take a closer look at it, I'm going to take off my bike. And where I like to begin is with this rear strap. All you have to do here is press on this button. It's going to release this here, and we can just tuck it behind. And on the front side, all we have to do is press a button. So like I said, pretty easy process. What's unique about this is when you hit it and pull up on it, it retracts back down. So make sure you're holding your bike, lift up, and keep holding, and pull it around, and it retracts into itself. And that's what I like about it. It just makes setting up a little bit quicker to do. And then with it off, we can take our bike out for a ride. But what's also really nice about that too is since we're not making contact with the bike itself, you really don't have to worry about if you have a carbon frame bike or alternative frame bike. And this here also transfers down that tray to accommodate a wider range of wheelbases. But let's move over to getting a few measurements of seeing what this is going to be like back here. So the first one I'm going to get is going to be the ground clearance, and that's going to be from the lowest point just about 25 inches. So even with those heavier e-bikes on here, this is going to be enough space from the ground to make sure you're not going to hit the ground when you're going up those steeper slopes. Now for the total distance away it sits, this is going to be about 24 inches. Which is actually really good for a 2 bike rack. That's not going to be a lot of space in the back of the vehicle. Now I will say it does have a tilt feature, or folds up, and that doesn't save you too much space, but it still makes a difference. And there we have it. Right here, if I get that measurement, that's going to be a little bit over 16 inches. So pretty compact still, but the reason why this sits out a little bit further away is because 2 things. One, if you ever want to access your hatch, you can do that now. And this has a larger lift gate on it, so most bike racks, if you have it in the folded position, you're not going to be able to open up this. You're going to have to fold things back down. The other thing I wanted to point out is what is going to block back here. So since we have this cutout, we're not going to block our license plate, we're not going to block our taillights or our back window. Now your backup camera, you are going to pick up some of the sides here. You still have a majority of the vision in the center, but I'd recommend mainly sticking to that back window or those mirrors. Now the way this is going to install is we're going to have a 1.25 inch shank right here. And that's going to go into our 2-inch hitch receiver. And the way this is able to work is because we have this 2-inch sleeve adapter. Now this will also work with 1.25 inch receivers. You just have to take off that adapter that comes with this. And then we're going to have a pin that goes through, connects to the other side, and connects to our lock cord. And that lock cord is going to give us that extra security so no one can take a rack. And at the very back end of this, we're going to have this little gray knob here. And what I like about this is your anti-rattle device. So we have a really good hold on here, and you don't need any tools or uses. You just turn that knob and it tightens into place to prevent any of that road noise when you're driving around. Now, in my opinion, I'd say this is a pretty solid option if you are looking for something so you can open up that hatch. It's going to look fairly nice, and unloading and loading your bikes is a pretty quick process. But if you want something that's going to have a heavier weight capacity and looks pretty similar to this and function in a very similar way, then I'd recommend checking out the Saris Hitch Bike Rack. That's going to have a weight capacity of 80 pounds per bike. Now, I will say if you're constantly taking this in and out of your hitch, that one is going to weigh more, and it's just going to be for your 2-inch receivers. So if you have an 1.25-inch receiver on your Buick, then it's just not going to work. I'd probably just stick to this one right here. But of course, if you guys have any other questions, let us know here at eTrailer. Again, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.